Hello, let me do a quick review of Peace Talks. This is the latest in the Jim Butcher's Dresden Files novels. This is number 16, I think it is. It's basically half a novel. So I'll just start off by this saying, like, if you're not a giant Dresden Files fan, or just a casual one like myself, probably wait until the next one comes out and then read these two together, because this is definitely half the story here. That said, I guess enjoyed myself, even though it's very much set up the novel, where at the beginning Dresden learns that his brother, Wizard Dresden, this is, God, if you're jumping into the series, I don't think this is the book to jump into. This is an urban fantasy world where Harry Dresden is a long leather coat wearing wizard. All the novels take place on the worst day of the year, where misfortune upon misfortune upon misfortune gets put on him. Slowly through the series, Harry has gotten more and more strong, but as that has happened, the villains, the difficulties have gotten more and more strong, have gotten bigger and bigger as well. So he gets to be kind of the smart alecky, wisecracking Spider-Man to all the super villains that he has to go after. And we get a really big super villain gets introduced in this one, who I guess will get dealt with in the next novel. I'm assuming it'll be the next novel. So this one opens with him having a jog with his half-brother, who happens to be a white vampire, sort of basically a succubus of this world, Thomas. And it finds out that Thomas's partner is pregnant. And he's like, kind of gives him a pep talk for being a father, which is appropriate because he has his own daughter, Maggie, who he's trying to be a good father to, and has decided kind of much against his grandfather, who is the most powerful kind of white council wizard in this world. There's the white council wizards, who basically the magical cops, who Harry has been on the outs with for many of the novels, but now is a part of the white council. Is strongly like, no, you should totally hide her away. She should be as far away from you as possible. And he says, well, you did that with my mother, and look how that happened with her, and like, look what happened to me. I ended up falling into the clutches of a dark wizard, and only barely just got out alive of that, and kind of had been living on the run for a lot of it, and was basically kind of a loner, playing by my own rules kind of cool guy, which, you know, sounds awesome, but sucks as a kind of a life plan. So we get all that, and then the complications start happening. Number one being the peace talks that are going on. There's the Unseelie Accords, which he works for. In addition to being a warden for this White Council, Dresden is also has many different responsibilities and duties, pulls on him. And one of those is he works for Queen Mab, Queen of the Fairies, who has, through the force of her own will, through her own power, has forged this alliance of all the kind of the major magical groups, fairies, vampires, ghouls, many groups, and is even getting the FOMO to come, which are a underwater species of kind of deities to come to this thing. They've been really on the outs for most of the thing, but they are apparently going to come to these peace talks. And so he's been charged with basically running security for them. At the same time, Mab also says, you owe Laura here, who is Thomas's sister, but not Harry's, because it's the half sister thing, and is a white wraith, a succubus white vampire. You owe her. I owe her 3 favors. I've done 1. Now you owe her the other 2 favors. And it's like, oh great, that's going to work out well. As all this happens, Thomas gets busted for trying to assassinate the King of the Svartval, which is where actually Harry and his daughter were actually kind of taking shelter at their embassy. And that is a major political thing. Laura can't help her brother, or else it would be seen as condoning this assassination attempt. Why has Thomas done this? We don't find out in this novel, because it's half the novel. It's half the novel. And guess what? Laura says, I'm calling in my favors. First it was like, oh, I called in a favor. We tried to do the negotiation. You introduced me to the Baron and the White Council guy and the Swartvold King, Dark Elf King. That didn't do anything, but he did get transferred to the Baron's thing where the Unseelie Accords peace talks are going to take place. Guess what? We're going to try and spring Thomas from this thing. And so that ensues. The FOMO turn out to be not really in the mood for peace talks. We get introduced to the last Titan, which is this gigantically godlike woman creature who can, even threatens Queen, even seems to dwarf Mab for power, which is a scary thing in the world that Harry Dresden has shown up. We also get more Butters with his he's one of the kings of the Knights of the Cross. I can't remember what he is, but he's got a sword with a nail of that's forged with it's got a nail of Christ in it, kind of as opposers to the evil demon guys with a little evil demon coins, which I think were used by Judas to payment for Judas's betrayal of Christ. So it's a kind of an interesting mix of the kind of the Christian and also all the other smorgasbord of various mythological creatures that Harry has to deal with in this book. He is, of course, as always, still kind of torn, with all his personal stuff of protecting his sister, of trying to maybe rescue his brother, his grandfather, Ebenezer, who is this White Mounsel Case, does not know that he has a grandson who is a vampire, hates vampires with a passion, and does not understand why Harry is wanting to save him, and Harry, for reasons, doesn't want to actually reveal that to him until maybe something happens at the dramatic points in this novel where everything gets split apart like that. And so, it's a novel that sort of ends with a storm's a-coming. So it's the first half of a novel. I enjoyed it as the first half. It definitely is a first half of the novel. I can't say much more than that other than it's like, as I was listening to it, it's like, this seems a little, like, just looking at how much I had left, this seems kind of short. And there's a reason it seems kind of short is because it's like half of the book. It is half of a book here. So, as with the later Dresden, there's a little less of the kind of the jokey stuff. There's, a little less of the female ogling. I think when Jim Butcher started these books, a lot of the kind of the male gaze was much more accepted. That said, we still get very naked, sexy ladies going down laundry chutes, and kind of goddess stuff. But it seems a little less on the male gazy side, which, I just finished Alona Andrews' book, which had a lot of female gaze. So I guess I'll give Jim Butcher an easier time with stuff like that. So yeah, that's my review of Peace Talks, which is half a novel. And so for half a novel, it's good. And we'll wait to see what the other half of the novel is. I actually find, as with comic books, which this is sort of comic books or urban fantasy, but very densely kind of told, lots of plot, lots of quips, lots of intricate points, things. I actually don't like, I'm not as much into the kind of the big overstory, the big overarching arcs. I usually like novels that are kind of a single thing in themselves, that tell one story. This one doesn't even tell one story, or it's basically a part of the big mythos building. I get that sense from it, less so than a story in its own. Like, the Skin Game, the book before this, that was a heist novel, and it was a contained heist novel there. That was a satisfying story in itself with lots of male gaze in it. But, it was like one contained story, where this is, yeah, it's just sort of, it's half of one of the big epic battle stories I can tell that's coming. So probably, I will pick it up when it comes. I'll probably refer back to my review to remind myself of the plots of this one, so I don't have to reread this one, because there's not much point to that, and go from there. All right, more videos later.